Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape. In the last part we continue on further into the final stage of the game, and now we're heading on to the final boss. That elevator we took at the end of the last part takes us right back here towards where we caught a monkey near a pool table earlier in the game. And that just leaves us about 20 feet away from the open spectre painting that'll actually take us up to the final boss. Just be careful of these enemies the last second because they can damage you, though they believe there's a cookie jar somewhere in this area. If not, you can just leave through that door and I believe go back outside to the one out there. Once we go through here, it's all endgame from there. With that said, I also believe there's a cookie jar in here, and I think there's also an infinitely respawning one-up. So if you've gotten this far, you don't have much to worry about in terms of getting, like, a game over. You're probably going to clear the boss fight eventually. Hell, if anything, what you could do is get that one-up, immediately fall into the bottomless pit around us, and then respawn with full health, and then just grab the one-up again. Thankfully, there's no real preparations you need to really make for the final boss. It's just gonna be, let's watch the cutscene and then start it off, because Ape Escape's actual boss fights are very fast and very easy to figure out the mechanics of. Usually. There's like one that comes to mind that I had trouble with as a kid, but I was also a kid when I did that boss fight for the first time, so that makes sense.
What's wrong with you? I can't believe what a mess you made. You didn't have to blow everything apart. I told you the door would be open. I only wanted to talk to you. That's why I invited you in. So what do you think of my castle? Do you like it? This castle is the most powerful fortress ever constructed. It will be so easy to conquer the world. It really is perfect, isn't it?
What are you saying? Are you out of your mind? Just stop this crazy plan already.
Why don't you stop fighting me and join me instead? You know, like your friend did.
No way! I won't be controlled by you!
Well, we'll see about that. With my new powers and my superior intelligence, it would be so easy to put you under my control. You could fight it all you wanted, be able to resist. Like this! Ow! Is that painful? Give it up! Join me! Unless you do, the pain you're feeling will only get worse!
No! 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 I won't!
You really think you can fight and beat me? You're no match for my powers!
I don't want to! I won't!
Wow! What's going on? My powers! Why aren't they working?
I'll tell you why.
What?
Power alone isn't the true strength. Well, something like that.
A real people die when they are killed moment, huh?
I can't believe this is happening! I have no use for you now! Get out of here!
Hey, wait!
Take this!
Alright, phase 1 of the boss fight's pretty straightforward. You run towards the Goliath here in the center, and then whack it right when you're close enough. Whenever you see the words danger, I believe that's when you're close enough to actually whack it. There are a couple of different attacks, guys. It can fire a couple of different volleys of lasers. I think there's a larger explosion radius move it can use, and I think it can also generate a shockwave you have to jump over. But as long as you keep your route slightly curved but very direct, it'll very often not get a chance to use a lot of its attacks. Yeah, it's charging up the shockwave right there. This is very easy. If it fired a couple more projectiles along the way, maybe it could be harder, but no, nothing really to worry about. Okay, phase 2, the final boss, is against the full body of the Goliath. And it's about as easy as the first phase, honestly. It'll generate some mines that will shoot at you every now and then. It can do shotgun moves like that, but a lot of what's going to do is with its hands. It can fire projectiles up in the air that'll then fall down to the floor at the marked places and then leave some burning fire for a little bit. But the main moves you want it to do to start are, I believe, a red charge with either arm, at which point it's going to do a tracking shot from left to right across the stage, usually leaving a blind spot at the opposite extreme from where the arm is. Once it does, I think, about 5 volleys of shots, the edge of the arm turns green, and you can then whack it to do damage to that arm. I think you need to damage each arm 2 or 3 times from memory. If you get too close to the Goliath here, you do take damage. That fire at the middle isn't just for show. It is an active hitbox past a certain point. So you can't get right in the Goliath's face. Yet. The boss fight's mainly going to change when we get both the arms taken care of, but that doesn't take long. I usually find that after it does the first charge of volleys of blasts, it'll then try to just go right into the second one almost immediately. I can't help wonder if that's because the game knows, alright, we should probably get the boss fight over with, huh? So now we need to just hit the chest of the Goliath. Between every single attack, though, the Goliath does charge up a mega laser that'll destroy the platform you're currently standing on when it fires. So what you want to do is do a shot to the chest, bait it out in a certain direction, and then run towards the opposite edge. The more damage you do, though, the more shots it does fire, to the point where I believe on the final shot it fires 2 shots in a row, so you need to make sure you're moving a bit fast for that one. The propeller can come in handy for this section for that alone, as it allows you to potentially avoid the second shot, but even then, there is a little bit of a delay between the 2 shots. And that's the boss fight.
You ruined everything! If it weren't for you, everything would be perfect!
Spectre, put a stop to this now! I'm taking you back to the amusement park.
You must be joking! You're not taking me anywhere! I'll never go back! I'm never going back to that rotten place! You listen, and you listen good! I will return! And when I do, I'll destroy you and the world as you know it! So you better be ready, because next time, I won't fail!
Wait! Spectre! Yes!
And that's the final boss. Again, not too hard. The final stage itself can go on a little bit too long, I feel. 3 parts for one stage is a bit odd, but oh well. And that's Ape Escape, but not entirely. There's a reason that the video title doesn't say finale. As I have foreshadowed several times throughout the LP, we're going to need to do second visits to every single level using a new tool we're going to get when you first enter a level after these credits roll. And so because of that, I'm going to save my thoughts on the game until the second rolls of the credits. I'm going to pull what I did in Metroid Other M here and just be silent for the rest of this roll of them. Because, why not? This music's kick-ass. I love this entire soundtrack so much. I cannot say that enough. But yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes when we go into the first stage after the credits ends.
Spectre will definitely be back, and when he is, I'm sure he'll do more evil. Professor, I'll go back and find Spectre. That's a good idea. But first, use the time station to return to the past and check each era for any remaining monkeys on the loose. We can't leave any of them wandering around. While you do that, I'll go back to the lab and track down Spectre. Then we'll find him and stop him for good.
So they are super upfront about you not being done with the game despite seeing the credit sequence. Because not only does the professor outright talk about we still need to catch Spectre because he did teleport away at the end, but we still have a large amount of monkeys to catch. If memory serves, when I save right here, now that we've completed Monkey Madness and caught most of the monkeys within there, I think we're only at about 56, 57% or so. So there's roughly 43 to 44% of the game that we still have yet to do. Now, I believe the remaining monkeys count for about 20% of that. What remains with the 15% after that is mostly the true final boss and a certain mechanic I'll talk about in a few parts. For now, it's time for us to start our second loop through the stages, which is going to be much shorter. I'll tell you that for a fact. Because there's so few monkeys left in some of these stages, we're usually only going to be in there for maybe 2 minutes at most in some cases, and even then outside of that, I'm going to be doing what I can to speed up the process as well. For that, let's head back to Fossil Field and go catch the one monkey we couldn't catch back in part 1.
Look Look what I've got, a new gadget. Check it out.
This is the magic punch. It's really powerful. I'm sending the new gadget over to you right now. Try it out in the training room. Without training, it will be too dangerous for you to continue on to the next area. Well, good luck and be careful.
And now we finally have the final tool in the game, the magic punch. I don't do it for a while, but by and large, this should completely replace your stun club in your main 4 tools. Because it's the stun club, you use the right stick to aim where it goes. The speed at which you thrust the analog stick in a direction determines its strength. It can grab items from a distance, but the biggest thing is it can break objects like these boxes from Spectre's factory. It can hit switches from a distance, it can stun monkeys, and it can break any flashing items or walls you've seen throughout the game to access monkeys you just couldn't get on a first trip through the stages. This is extremely useful, and it should just be your main combat tool moving forward. With that said, I don't think I start doing that until at least part 12. Part 13, I think at this point. I should note, the last 3 videos are all in one timeline on my Camtasia, which I don't usually do, but that's how I handle doing longer videos now. So, usually when it came to getting monkeys that you couldn't get in the early game stages, it was usually that they were at too high of a location for you to jump to at the time. For instance, the only monkey we couldn't grab here in Fossil Field is over to my right now, on top of this platform you need the propeller to get up to. So in this regard, you can theoretically start the backtracking process for monkeys as soon as you really get that tool. After that, though, it requires things like the RC car or the magic punch outright. And I really don't like them having to do that. I feel, and I mentioned this again and again in this LP, I think there are some stages that you really should have been able to 100% on the first run, just so you know you can 100% a stage and figure out what to do with stages beyond that afterwards. Also notably, the 100% complete screen doesn't end on its own, I believe. I think you have to press the button on its own. The professor does eventually just walk around and go, let's go down over here. Guess I'm gonna go over there now. Well, that's all that animation is. Now that we've completed Fossil Field, though, we'll get a good idea of what the rest of the game's gonna be outside of getting every monkey. Once you've 100%ed a stage, you can press the start button on that stage in the stage select to access the time trial for that stage. Those are required for true 100%. With that said, I'm going to be doing those all in a row at the very end of the LP, and I'm only showing a couple of them because, to an extent, it's a lot of trial and error and just figuring out the stage layout and mastering it from there, and I don't want to show the stages through a third time, so I'll talk more about that when we get to it. Now, the monkeys that we're missing here, I believe, are also ones you have to jump to get. For instance, this one over here. Ape Escape 2 and 3 generally do a better job with its post-game stage revisits because the tools you get are not only a little more limited in those games in terms of, like, monkeys that are more specific, but also they usually just have more monkeys per stage to grab. Like, I think the first stage in Ape Escape 3, for instance, on its post-game revisit, with the final tool you get in that game, there's like 5 or 6 monkeys you didn't grab the first trip around. They're a bit smarter about making the stage revisits more interesting. And yeah, that's all we had to grab in this stage. They go by real fast. This is why the revisits are going to be nowhere near as long on the second trip through these stages. I believe we wrapped this up in part 15, so we're only here for about 3 or 4 videos. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 12... we're going to be going super in deep on these stage revisits and even introducing the format I'm going to be doing a lot of them in the process. See you guys then.